He was New York's most powerful man, a millionaire CEO who could buy anything, control anyone, and cancel a wedding like it was a business deal. But what Ethan Cole never realized was that love doesn't sign contracts. It breaks them. 3 years ago, he walked away from his fiancée, leaving her standing in the rain, dress soaked and heart shattered. He told himself it was for the company, for his future. But fate has a way of collecting debts now. Standing under the harsh fluorescent lights of a hospital corridor, Ethan's world stops. A nurse calls his name, not as a CEO, but as a father. 2 little boys in the ICU, his sons, the children of the woman he abandoned, and for the first time, the man who owned everything realizes he's already lost what truly mattered. The rain had started before dawn, thin and steady, drumming softly against the tall glass windows of the Cole Enterprises penthouse. Ethan Cole stood before the mirror, fastening his cufflinks silver, engraved with the company logo. Everything about him screamed control. The sharp black tuxedo, the expressionless face, the air of a man who always got what he wanted. Everything except his eyes. They looked uncertain. "Sir, the car's ready," his assistant murmured from the doorway. Ethan nodded but didn't move. On the marble counter lay a white envelope. Her last letter. He hadn't opened it. He didn't need to. He already knew what it would say. "Don't let the company come between us." But that was exactly what he was doing. Downstairs, at St. James Cathedral, hundreds of guests waited. The bride, Isabel Hart, was everything the tabloids loved. Beautiful, humble, the woman who'd softened New York's coldest businessman. She'd been there when he built his empire, believed in him when investors didn't, and loved him when he barely knew how to love himself. And yet, when the call came from Tokyo, a deal worth billions, one that could make or break his legacy, Ethan didn't hesitate. He told his assistant, "Cancel the wedding." Just like that. He didn't call Isabel, didn't explain, didn't face her. Hours later, she stood alone in the rain outside the church, veil torn, mascara streaked. Cameras flashed, headlines screamed. The wedding of the year that never happened. Ethan flew to Tokyo that same night. He buried himself in work, pretending the ache in his chest was nothing but exhaustion. Days turned into months, months into years. He became richer, more powerful, but every birthday, every board meeting, every glass of whiskey tasted like guilt. Then one evening, while reviewing merger documents, his secretary buzzed in. "Sir, there's a call from St. Mary's Hospital. It's urgent." He frowned. "A hospital? Are you sure it's for me? They said your name specifically, sir. And they mentioned twins." He froze. The word didn't register at first. "Twins? Yes, sir. They said they're in the ICU." And the assistant hesitated. "They said you're listed as the father." For a moment, Ethan couldn't breathe. The pen fell from his hand. He'd never had children, at least, he thought he hadn't. The name Isabel flashed across his mind like lightning within the hour. He was in his car, rain slashing against the windshield, just like that night 3 years ago. The city lights blurred as he drove, heart pounding harder with every turn at the hospital. The smell of antiseptic hit him first. The corridors were too bright, too cold. He felt out of place, a man used to commanding boardrooms, now lost among nurses and monitors. "Mr. Cole." A nurse approached, recognizing him instantly. "They've been waiting for you." He asked, voice low. "Your sons." She led him to the ICU window. Behind the glass, 2 small boys lay hooked to machines, tiny chests rising and falling unevenly. They couldn't have been more than 2 years old. Identical curls, the same serious expression. Ethan's knees almost gave out. "They were in a car accident," the nurse continued softly. "Their mother. She's in surgery." He turned sharply. "Isabel." The nurse nodded. For the first time in years, Ethan Cole felt something stronger than fear of failure, fear of loss. The empire he built meant nothing now. The deal, the money, the titles, they couldn't buy back the woman he left at the altar, or the 2 little lives fighting for their breath. And, as the monitor beeped steadily in the background, the man who once canceled love with a phone call whispered a prayer he'd never said before. "Please, don't take them away." The sound of heart monitors filled the room, a slow and steady rhythm that echoed like time itself, refusing to stop. Ethan stood outside the ICU, his reflection trembling in the glass as he watched the boys. He didn't even know their names. That thought alone broke him. The man who'd built skyscrapers, who'd closed billion-dollar deals with a single handshake, couldn't walk through one hospital door. A doctor appeared beside him. "Mr. Cole." Ethan turned. His voice cracked for the first time in years. "Are they going to be okay?" "They're stable for now," the doctor said gently. but their lungs took some damage. They need observation. Ethan nodded numbly, gripping the window ledge. And their mother. The doctor hesitated. She's still in surgery. Severe internal bleeding, but she's fighting hard. Can I see her? She's unconscious, but you can wait outside recovery. He didn't wait, he ran. The hallway to the surgical wing seemed endless. He pushed open the door to the waiting area, breath ragged, tie undone. And there she was. Isabel lay pale against the sheets, her hair a tangled halo on the pillow. There were faint scars on her temple, a line of dried blood near her wrist. But she was still the same woman who used to laugh when he burned toast, who once dreamed of little boys running across their lawn. He sank into the chair beside her bed, guilt clawing its way through his chest. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice trembling. "God, I'm so sorry." He reached for her hand, but stopped an inch away. He didn't deserve to touch her, not after the way he'd left. Hours passed. Nurses came and went. The boy's heart monitors beeped softly through the glass. And then, "Ethan." Her voice was faint. A whisper carried through the silence. He froze, then turned. Her eyes were open, tired, but alive. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. "Isabel." Her gaze flickered to him, confusion and pain mingling. "You shouldn't be here." "I had to come," he said, standing. "The hospital called me. They said." "I know." She interrupted weakly. "They shouldn't have. You're not supposed to be on the paperwork." His heart twisted. "Paperwork?" "Isabel, those boys are mine," she said firmly, though her voice trembled. "Mine alone." Ethan flinched, as if the words were bullets. "You think I didn't want to tell you?" She continued, tears brimming in her eyes. "You think I didn't wish every night that they'd have a father who cared? But how could I, Ethan? You left me. You left us before they were even born." Her voice broke, and suddenly, all the composure he'd carried shattered. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I swear to you, Isabel, I didn't know." She laughed bitterly, then winced from the pain. "You didn't want to know. You made your choice. You canceled our wedding in a press statement." He fell to his knees beside her bed. "I made a mistake, the biggest one of my life. I thought I was protecting you from my world, from the chaos. From the board that didn't want me marrying a small-town girl with no fortune. I thought I was doing the right thing." "And what did it cost you?" she asked softly. "Everything you wanted." "Yes," he admitted. "Everything I loved." For a moment, silence filled the room, just the hum of machines and two hearts that once beat together. Then, a nurse entered quietly. "Miss Hart, your sons are awake." Isabel turned her head sharply, her breath catching. Ethan stood up instantly. "Can I?" he began. She hesitated. "They don't know you." "I'll fix that," he said quietly. "If you'll let me." The ICU was dimly lit, soft beeps echoing in the background. The twins, small, fragile, but alive, blinked up from their beds as Isabel entered. Ethan, a few steps behind. "Mummy," one of them whispered, his voice raspy. She smiled through tears. "Hey, my brave boys." The second boy looked at Ethan curiously. "Who's that?" Isabel froze. The question hung heavy in the air. Ethan knelt beside the bed, his eyes glistening. "Hey buddy," he said softly. "I'm Ethan." The child blinked. "You're the man from Mommy's picture." Ethan's heart stopped. He turned to Isabel. She looked away, tears spilling silently. "They used to ask who their daddy was," she whispered. "I told them he was someone who loved them very much, but couldn't be here." Ethan swallowed hard. "Then you didn't lie." He reached out slowly, letting the boy's tiny hand wrap around his finger. "I'm here now," he said, voice cracking. "And I'm not going anywhere." That night, Ethan didn't leave the hospital. He sat between their rooms, watching them sleep through the glass. He thought about every late meeting, every merger, every empty penthouse evening, and for the first time in years, he understood what it meant to be rich, not in money, but in moments. Outside, the city lights shimmered cold, distant, but inside that hospital, a broken family began to breathe again. He looked at Isabel through the window, asleep but peaceful for the first time since he'd walked out of her life, and he whispered to the empty hallway, "Tomorrow, I'll earn my place back as their father. And your husband." Morning light streamed through the blinds of St. Mary's Hospital, soft and golden, washing away the night's shadows. For the first time in 3 years, Ethan Cole didn't wake to a calendar full of meetings. He woke to the sound of a child coughing. He was already at their bedside before the nurse arrived. "Hey, champ," he said gently, brushing the boy's hair from his forehead. "Feeling better?" The little one, Noah, as Isabel had softly told him before drifting back to sleep, blinked up. "My chest hurts." "I know, buddy. You're brave, just rest." Okay. Ethan held the cup of water for him, careful, protective, terrified he'd somehow do something wrong. When Isabel entered the room, she paused at the door, watching Ethan like that, kneeling beside their son, his designer suit wrinkled, his hair disheveled, his heart right there on his sleeve. Something in her broke open again. He turned when he felt her gaze. "He's okay," Ethan said quickly. "I spoke with the doctor. They're responding well to treatment." She nodded, clutching her robe. "Thank you for staying," he smiled faintly. "I wasn't going anywhere." Hours later, when the boys were resting, Isabel sat beside the window, eyes lost in the skyline. Ethan joined her quietly, a paper cup of coffee in each hand. "You always liked watching the city," he said softly. "You said the lights looked like second chances." "I stopped believing in those," she whispered. He swallowed hard. "Then maybe I can change that." She didn't look at him. "Ethan, you can't just walk back into our lives and expect everything to go back to what it was. I built a life for them. Alone. Every night I stayed awake, wondering if they'd ever have what you gave up for money." He set the coffee down, his jaw tight. "And I built a world without meaning. Every night I stayed awake wondering if you'd ever forgive me." Their eyes met, hers tired and guarded, his desperate and raw. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he said finally. "I'm asking for a chance to earn it." She opened her mouth to respond, but the sound of hurried footsteps cut through the air. Code blue. "Room 304, a nurse shouted. Ethan's heart stopped. 304 was Noah's room. He ran before the words even fully registered. Inside, alarms blinked. Doctors surrounded the bed. The boy's small body trembled as they fought to stabilize his breathing. Isabel screamed his name, restrained gently by a nurse. Ethan froze in the doorway, the world tilting. Not again. Not now. He pushed through, gripping the bed rail. "What's happening?" "Respiratory collapse," a doctor snapped. "He needs oxygen now." Ethan's hands shook helplessly. All his money, all his power, useless here. He felt the burn of tears as he whispered, "Please, please, don't take him from us." Minutes dragged like hours. Then, a beep, another. A steady rhythm returned on the monitor. The boy coughed weakly. "He's breathing," the doctor said with relief. Isabel collapsed into Ethan's arms, sobbing. "I can't lose them. Ethan, I can't do this alone again." He held her tight. "You won't. I swear to you, you'll never face another night alone." Days passed. Noah recovered. His twin, Liam, began laughing again, the kind of laugh that filled rooms. That healed everything it touched. Ethan spent every waking hour with them reading stories, fixing toys, learning to braid Isabel's hair when her hands trembled. And one evening, after tucking the boys in, he walked out to find Isabel standing on the hospital rooftop, watching the sunset. He joined her silently. The wind was cool. The city lights glowed below. She turned slowly. "They love you, you know." He smiled. "They're easy to love, just like their mother." A faint smile tugged at her lips. "You've changed." "I had to," he said softly. "I lost everything once. I won't make that mistake again." She studied him for a long moment. Then she whispered, "What do you want, Ethan?" He stepped closer. "Not a company, not headlines, just my family." Tears glimmered in her eyes. "You broke me once. I'll spend the rest of my life putting you back together," he said, "piece by piece, if I have to." The silence between them stretched heavy, tender, full of everything left unsaid. Finally, Isabel reached out, her fingers trembling as they brushed his. "Then start here," she whispered. He pulled her gently into his arms, the city spinning below, the world finally righting itself. For the first time since the wedding that never happened, Ethan Cole stopped running from love, from pain, from himself. Because sometimes, redemption isn't found in boardrooms or contracts. It's found in the quiet beat of two tiny hearts and the woman who never stopped believing, even when he didn't deserve it. As the elevator doors closed behind them that night, Ethan looked at Isabel and their two sleeping sons, their small hands tangled together. He realized that real success isn't measured by the empire you build, it's measured by the people who wait for you to come home. Love doesn't cancel. It pauses until you're brave enough to return. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in second chances, in love that survives distance, and in families that find their way back, make sure to subscribe for more stories like when the Millionaire CEO canceled the wedding, because somewhere out there, another heart is waiting for its redemption too. Subscribe, like, share, love, not excuses. Hashtag Millionaire Family Drama. Hash heart-touching stories. Hashtag second chance love. #emotional romance series.